Good morning, everybody. I think the market is always, and I've used this term many times over the years, Mr. Schizophrenic. The news this morning, it market jumps up. The other day it goes down. It's like on a moment to moment basis. And you think that you've got these institutions, investing, but all of these reactions on a almost a moment to moment basis. It's kind of crazy. I don't remember if it was that way when I first started out. I don't think so. I don't think the news was so readily available as it is today. But anyway, getting some gyrations this morning and see how it shakes out. So excuse me, just looking across different markets, you see the damage being done. I just picked this one, software, and you can see, the same story of a Head and Shoulders and break of a neckline, and any of these short-term reactions are not a big deal until we start getting some kind of price action at an area of support, and we don't have that yet. So just looking at this one, I suppose somewhere down here where the 200 starts moving up a little bit as we average in the current prices, that's gapping up a little bit. So, maybe in the short term, we get a little movement up toward these minor resistance areas where they will roll back over again. And it's just going to be a part of the process. And let's not get enamored by any little bit of blip up that might happen, like it's happening this morning on this news. We don't want to be as schizophrenic as whatever the reactions are here on a moment to moment basis. Um, get to the others. Internals are still neutral. No advantage there. Um, you would think, just looking at this movement down, and there are indices that are down. I don't know if I got this on a measurement just to see how much this is down in the short term. Let's just take a peek here. Uh, show percentage. I mean, there's one, and see that's down 12%, and it's likely to go lower. Um, and they're not loading up on puts. That's a concern. Complacency. Eventually they will, and that's what we'll be looking for in the coming days or weeks, whatever it is. Of course, we'll see what happens this week when we get a new president. I suppose everybody's waiting for that to see what executive orders hit and what changes there are. A lot of promises. So between economic reports, earnings reports, new president, there's going to be a lot of gyrations. Yeah, right, right. So, just looking across a few others, internet held up relatively well. It's coming down to this support area. It was down. So there are some shining lights, so to speak, with this correction that's continuing. So it's not all bad, but it's going to present a tremendous amount of opportunities. That's the great thing about corrections. As semiconductors are just a giant mess. Um, you know, it's just you should, print this out. If you're new to, technical trading, print this out. Just put a big thing on here and just says, stay away. This is a mess. That's Mr. and Mrs. Schizophrenic. A perfect example of it. Just wide bars overlapping each other's tails, gaps, just a giant mess. Um, yeah. IWM, coming down to these pivots, the 200, yesterday morning, pre-market, part of the commentary was, you know what? Okay, things are down here. You can get caught up in, whatever happened over the last few days, but I was like, okay, is this a short-term exhaustion gap? And then, prices rattled around for a while. They looked like they were going to roll back over, but, several days down into a 200 MA, pivot lows, short-term exhaustion. And, by the end of the day, confidence began to build. You see what was going on down here early on. And it was not until 12 o'clock that buyers really began to feel more confident, and the advance started, and it ended at those prior pivot highs. And so now the little wide range bar, and where prices are right now gapping up a bit, so maybe we get a little bit more continuation. We always look at these and say, okay, where is the gap in relation to the next area of resistance? Looking at this. And so a little void is going to be created down below. And so maybe we look at this, and we will look at this from that point of view and say, hey, if it fills the gap, maybe there's a buying opportunity there for a little more continuation to the upside, into this congestion there. Scrunch this over. Well, I don't have to scrunch this over. I got the 65-minute chart there. Yeah, it's into those pivot lows, what we call minor resistance, but it just makes for a setup here that is just not great. You know, if you're scalper, nimble, maybe get a little bit more. Or just move on to something else, right? Mid caps, not a bad kind of price action there. Pivot. It holds that area with a relatively wide bar. So I'm interested to see what this does over the next couple of days. Can it hold up? In the upper half of that par, there's plenty of congestion there. So it's not a great setup, but it leads to a little, you know, hey, can this hold up here or not? In other words, we really don't enter today with a setup that says, hey, this is a point where to take action, other than possibly from an intraday trading point of view. Maybe this can hold up here, buy the dip. I always like, if I see a bar like this, a wide range bar on support like that, my bias is, buy the dip for short-term trades, since we've got this, bullish reversal. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, time is needed. And, we talked about this last week. It was like, hey, the patience part is like, hey, I want to do something today, but it's not being offered to me. Not the way I want it anyway, right? The cues, gapping down into an area of support. This is part of our conversation yesterday. You can go watch the videotape. And, minor resistance area, which is right where you see the cursor on the 5-minute chart, where it's bounced up into. So it's just not a setup that offers an opportunity here. If it could chop sideways, right? So as I look at these things and I think, okay, what would be an excellent setup possibly? Well, some time correction. In other words, it's come down a decent amount here. And if this could go sideways a little bit, this 65-minute chart would start to become attractive. And that this side, if it was going sideways here for a while, we've got this little void area. Right? This is in a downtrend. Just came down a bunch, and it just needs time. Spiders, it's going to be the same thing. Downtrend, and this is why one of the reasons we like a longer time frame intraday, because sometimes the daily doesn't offer us a great setup, for swing trades. But if and one of the things we scan for, 65-minute chart moving sideways, and those offer us opportunities for a larger move up. Something can be in a downtrend on the daily, right? So downtrend on a daily, it starts chopping around for 2 or 3 days. It builds a base on a 65-minute, and you get a trade. What do we have here? A downtrend. Where is it gapping up to? Pivot high. You can see there on the 65-minute chart. Not anything that you're interested in the moment. It stays up here for 30 minutes or so, an hour, maybe 12 o'clock. Hmm, Something starts to become more interesting. All right, let me just check SPX here. Oh, this chart's a little active with little drawings, but what it provides us with the analysis. So we had this unfilled gap for the longest time. Right? This now goes away. And you get rid of that. The next support area is down here. Yesterday, strike was down below. It was a no-brainer. Just check the numbers. And so someone emailed yesterday. So how do you come up with these numbers? I'm telling you, there are people that do this, that go through these complex indicators and analysis with things like Vena and Varna and this, that, the other thing, crazy stuff, right? Simplicity here. Just look at where there's about a buck. And if you can go around 20 wide to make money, but where is that number, right? That's the key. I have no idea, Dan. They have this crazy stuff that they look at. I thought it was something to do with that show that used to be on the internet, that Varna White or whatever she was. The Price is Right, I think she was on. I thought it was something to do with that. Right? Anyway, right? So things whipped up from when I first looked at this morning. So look for about a buck, right? 57, 55. It comes up. So yes, yesterday the number was below major support. That's attractive. That's what I call lines of defense. Now, line of defense now is yesterday's low, gapping up a little bit. Not as good as yesterday, but from where it started. Um, you can look here, open interest, these are not significant. So where are their bets down below, large bets? And you can see this is a whole number. A lot of times it's around a whole number. So whole numbers tend to be support. If you can get, like here, 5,800, you can get below a whole number, what has a relatively large open interest. That's a plus, kind of a line of defense that's on your side. And do the same thing on the other side. Right? So about a buck, 59.30, a little above where it was earlier this morning. Get rid of that. That's way up there. Where does that line up? 50, around the 50 MA? Can it go? Right? Where I got to go back and let's see what it is on SPY. It was gapping up. Can it go up there? And look, we all know anything's possible. Is it probable? You have this minor resistance area? I don't think so. Was that this pivot? Give or take. I always got to go back and look at the spiders to see where they're at. All right. And so at that pivot, at minor resistance, it's likely to get up here. To get all the way up there today? No. No. Probability, slim to none. We'll see what happens. Right? Slim to none. I don't think it's going to go down there either. Right? But I think we're going to chop around in here and just wait for more news. Okay. Interest rates down a little bit. That's good. They're down a little bit, nothing of significance. Short-term extended. Maybe they pull back. It helps the market move up a bit more before they go higher. Gold is down. It's just been a mess. There's nothing to do there. Crude oil is down a little bit. I think sideways, chopping around. I think at this point, traders are thinking, hey, Today's Tuesday. Wednesday, we start getting some bank earnings. People are interested in that. There's more news. So, you know, you got some inflation relief in the moment as far as, oil is now extended and up near this pivot high. So that's backed off a little bit. Interest backed off a little bit. Going back to, well, let's look at the futures. So we get a 24-hour view on that. Wide range bar up. It's staying here. Look, maybe there's a little bit more to the upside if it hangs here a little bit where there's a little long trade. Which one would be better? Same kind of setup there. Nothing great, which leads to, hey, trading range. The Dow is up, but a little more, but up into a mess here. IWM, which was pounded down. This whipsaw going on here. Things need to settle down. Like I'm not enthusiastic about anything of significance here, so we'll just take it and see what happens. This is encouraging, and on a short-term basis, that transports are holding up as well as they are. So we'll see what it shakes out. All yours, Dan.
Good morning. We have a number of good ideas here. So, Robert, don't get frustrated about sitting on hands. We always have ideas. So we've been heavily short, trailing our profits. Started picking up some bullish things yesterday, some bottoming patterns, some, just bullish patterns. Alarms here. FMC, we bought this bottoming pattern. I actually sold some pre-market on the positive number, but that looks great. Maybe turn its way up to the 50. Oracle alarm just went off. Let's move stop 5-minute high. We only have a third left. We got a beautiful open gain of a short. So that alarm just went off, which means it's hitting its stop on the third. NUE, I've been watching this thing for 3 weeks. And once we get this gap breakout, I said, I'm now looking for some type of retest. We got it. End of day base. I don't want to chase it here, but look at XME. It's very, very similar. That looks great. XLB is more materials, not nearly as good as those other two, because the others are nice little W retests. But yes, look at the size of this green bar, the biggest green bar on this whole chart. And these would be no brainer put spreads, but the spreads on most ETFs are nuts. There's really only about 6 to 8 that we regularly trade because of spreads. Bill, we were short this. I went ahead and said just kill it, break even here, pre-market. Well, this is mine. I sold some puts on Ribbon yesterday. We were looking at a couple of EV stocks, Ribbon and LCID. I sold puts on both of them. But it could be a long-term bottom here. It's just the weekly is a climb out, so there's no entry. But I sold the $3 puts for 12 cents. So my cost basis is 288 if assigned. GEV, we're not in this yet, but it's a buy setup. Looks like it's gapping over the entry, and the gap's too big. So I gave it both as a put spread and directional. So let's cancel the directional, but put spread is fine. Yeah. New ideas here. Paradigm buy setup looks great. DHR is another bottoming pattern, similar to, well, it's not similar to NUE, but it's another beautiful bottoming pattern. You know, this is exactly what we look for on bottoming patterns. The 20 MA to flatten out, some type of shock reversal, big move up and a retest. So that looks great. My alarm went off that it was gapping over it. Our entry's over 241, so it's coming in here a little bit. That's why I just sent a telegram. Let's just wait 10 minutes. Let this gap settle down. Thomas, yeah, I just talked about XLB, Thomas. I talked about XME. I talked about NUE. See, these are better reversal patterns than XLB. Look at housing. So those are all my alarms with housing. This one's been weaker because it failed the retest, but now it's gapping up to 106. It would be another good put spread, but spreads are nuts. And I think, KBH here is putting fire on that. That is a big, big gap. So scanners, if you can help me in the housing sector of XHB, which, it's going to include things like Home Depot and Whirlpool and so forth. Delta 20. What's with he's 90? It looks like a buyout. When things gap up big and just go sideways with little dots, that's just a footprint of a buyout. I think that was the only, well, I don't know, let's go through here. I got various news. There's some early earnings announcements and so forth. Nomad, I don't see any gap, but there's no pattern, no interest. SIG had an earnings warning. And this is not it's not a classic gap and snap because of the way it's grinding lower. That's why I just called it possible excessive gap. I mean, look at that, gapping down 13 bucks. So I got it here in the middle chart. We'll just monitor it and see. 30-minute high though, my default thought, put spread 30-minute high, period. I got to go through the checklist and all that. LVS, I think got a downgrade, but that's a Climo, so I'll keep it on the list for turning. There's another bottoming pattern, but it's not breaking out yet. I have an alarm at 165, I think. Oh, another bottoming pattern. All right, I just got filled on something, so I had a pre-market. I had a pre-market order out on something. I got filled. URI. I don't know what the news is, but I got it here for some reason. But no trade now. It's excessive move. This Mercury's been getting killed with the California fires insurance company. It's a Climo. Keep it on the list. DHR we talked about 10-minute high. Engine igniting breakout, but excessive gap. ACMR 1644 bottoming pattern. I'd say 30-minute high. Let's just make sure it wants to hold. APLD, I don't know what the news is, but excessive gap and And no pattern IAC, nasty downtrend. Look at this monthly breakdown. That's a nasty break. You got parallel trend at 50. Their news was they're spinning off Angie's. But no interest. T-Tan getting whacked, recent IPO. Well, not whacked. I thought it was down more, but a bearish gap. I mean, this is a great example of just comparing the football players. So look at you got a month of football players up here, which is resistance, and you got nothing. You got one IPO bar. So if this thing has calls, I didn't look. That'd be a beautiful call spread over yesterday's high. And today's Eris. It's up 3 bars though, so it's not a great entry on the daily, although your stop would be yesterday's low. It does have a beautiful 15-minute chart, end of day base. So day trade, sure. Swing up to you. That's a bull flag. That's a bull flag on the weekly. So it's bullish. It's bullish. CMI gap breakout. Sure, that would be a no-brainer put spread. Yesterday's low, but also, 30-minute high or controlled pullback for a directional. I like it. CPay put spread. Yesterday's low. If there's any juice. AVAV up alarm too early though, so forget about it. Echo Golf, we shorted this yesterday and my low alarm went off. So that is beautiful relative weakness. Let's move stop break even. When the market's up big or down big and something's doing the opposite, that's relative weakness or strength. 3, 2, 2. And let me watch this NUE. That's one of my favorites. Hmm. Cool. IWM holding the best here so far. Q spider diamonds jumping around doing nothing. Plug. Yeah, I had that as a naked put trade, which I canceled. Let me see what the puts are now. I was going to do the 2.5s, 5 cents by 7 cents is all. I think in the weekend letter I had them trying to get 12 cents. Costco. All right, this is relative weakness. We have a put spread in this, but still not near. It's much lower, but I always have early alarms, as you know. Meta, relative weakness in the fangs. That thing's been trading wildly. Tesla, relative strength. I posted in Telegram, put spread idea. Controlled pullback. All right, Daku, up alarm. You know, the reason I'm watching Daku, it doesn't look attractive on the daily, but look at the weekly on Daku. It's a buy setup, and it's making the turn at the 50. So that's why I'm watching Daku. Oki is triggering. That was from yesterday. So Oki looks great. I will take some. Wow, spreading. All right, I'm going to bid spot 30 myself. I'll tell you if I get film. Full 5-minute high. So 156.46. All right, I got filled at the spot 30. Got filled on something else again, which would be a profit target. So let me see what that is. Oh, Thomas YouTube also asked about team team short watch. I'd rather try to bounce a day or two. Deck. Oh, Greg, our deck call spread alarm went off. Um, good. I guess set the alarm higher for now. Go into hope mode. Build. Oh, I sold some array. Uh, Array. Shoot, I sold it right here at no. I thought I did it at 229. Remember I nibbled on this yesterday at 215 or 16? So array, top of the range, but it looks good. All right, okay, I got filled. NUE is coming in hard. NUE. All right, so now we can buy the day's high, 123.58. Yeah, of course. Oh, LZB, your buddy. $3.59. Q's spiders holding very well. I actually, I'm no fundamentalist, but I was a little surprised that they didn't uh, react better to those inflation numbers. Lazy boy. Hmm. I don't know if you're talking about the stock or your boy Sam. It's SMG from yesterday. I was waiting for today because of that end of day rally and the PPI, but that's moving on up. FMC, let's move stop break even. This is the one I sold. I sold pre-market. Just because I'm a much tighter manager. Let's see. Yeah. I don't like bottoming patterns, Steve, that have parallel railroad track MAs like this, but I do like the gap reversal. So it's worth watching, but my confidence level right here is not high as a pair compared to something that has a retest. Like XME looks fantastic. You see the difference? XME and that NUE. Hey, a doppel up alarm. That thing gave us some heartbreak. Heartache, rather. So now we can move the stop. Look, these are retest and reversal patterns. So Doffel actually looks good now. It was good, what's today? Tuesday. Friday was giving me heartache. It held the stop. Actually, I take that back. It gapped under the stop and we moved stop 15-minute low, which helped. So we got lucky. So let me tighten the stop. 175. Yeah, our spreads are nuts. Another 178.